Today we are going to learn My Childhood. This story is taken from a book called Wings of Fire. This book tells the life story of a great scientist named A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. He later became the 11th President of India in 2002. In this section, he shares memories from his own childhood. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam was born into a family that was not very rich or very poor, middle-class Tamil family. He was born in a town called Rameswaram. Rameswaram is a special kind of town because it's an island, meaning it's surrounded by water. At that time, it was part of the Madras state, but today it is known as Tamil Nadu. His father, named Jainalabdin, did not go to school for many years, much formal education, and he also did not have a lot of money, wealth. But even without these things, he was very smart in a natural way, innate wisdom, and had a very kind heart, always willing to share and help others. True generosity of spirit. Meaning of true generosity of spirit is being truly kind and willing to share or help others. His mother, named Ashiama, was a perfect helper, ideal helpmate for his father. Abdul Kalam remembers that his mother used to feed many more people who were not part of their family, outsiders, than all the members of their own family put together. This shows how kind and giving his mother was. Abdul Kalam was one of many children in his family. He was a short boy and had regular, ordinary looks, undistinguished looks. Meaning of undistinguished looks is ordinary or not special in appearance. This was a bit different because his parents were tall and handsome. They lived in their ancestral house, which means it was a house that had been in their family for a very long time, passed down from their ancestors. This house was built in the middle of the 1800s. It was a strong and big house, pucca house, made of sturdy materials like limestone and brick. It was located on a street called Mosque Street in Rameswaram. His father was a very strict and simple person, austere. Meaning of austere is simple, strict, and severe. He always avoided any comforts or fancy things that were not absolutely needed, inessential comforts and luxuries. However, even though he was simple, his father always made sure that all the really important things were provided for the family. This included food to eat, medicine when someone was sick, and clothes to wear. Because of this, Abdul Kalam felt that his childhood was very safe and secure. He felt secure both in terms of having enough things, materially, and feeling loved and cared for, emotionally. A very big event happened in the world. The Second World War started in 1939. At this time, Abdul Kalam was 8 years old. For a reason he never fully understood, there was a sudden and very high demand for tamarind seeds in the market. Erupted, key, meaning of erupted is broke out or appeared suddenly, like a volcano. He used to collect these tamarind seeds and sell them to a shop on Mosque Street. For collecting seeds for a whole day, he would get a princely sum. Meaning of princely sum is a large amount of money, here used humorously because it was a small amount, but felt big to a child, of 1 anna. An anna was an old Indian coin, worth about 6 paise. His brother-in-law, named Jalaluddin, would tell him exciting stories about the war. Abdul Kalam would then try to find out more about these stories by looking at trace. Meaning of trace is to find or follow something. The newspaper headlines in a newspaper called Dinamani. Their area was quite isolated or isolated from the main war areas, so it was not directly affected by the war at all. But soon, India had to join the Allied forces. Meaning of Allied forces is the armies of the UK, USA, and Russia during the Second World War, which meant that India was now part of the war effort. Because of this, something like a state of emergency was announced. The first problem, casualty, meaning of casualty is a person or thing affected by an event. Here it means the first thing to be stopped or lost due to the war, for their town, was that the train no longer stopped at Rameswaram station. So, to deliver newspapers, they had to be tied in bundles and thrown out from the moving train onto the Rameswaram road, which was between Rameswaram and Dhanushkodi. This meant that his cousin Samsuddin, who was the person who delivered newspapers in Rameswaram, needed someone to help him catch these bundles. Naturally, Abdul Kalam stepped in and helped his cousin. This is how Samsudin helped him earn his very first money, wages. Even 50 years later, half a century later, Abdul Kalam could still feel the sudden rush of pride, surge of pride. Meaning of surge of pride is a sudden strong feeling of pride and happiness from earning his own money for the very first time. Abdul Kalam talks about how every child is born with certain qualities that they get from their parents, inherited characteristics. They are also born into a specific family background, which includes their social status and how much money their family has. They are also taught and guided by important people who have power, figures of authority. Meaning of figures of authority is people with power to make decisions, like parents or teachers. From his father, he learned important values like honesty and how to control himself, self-discipline. From his mother, he learned to believe in goodness and to be very kind. His 3 brothers and sister also learned these good qualities. Abdul Kalam had 3 very close friends when he was a child: Ramanatha Sastry, Aravindan, and Siva Prakasan. All these boys came from traditional Hindu Brahmin families, which are considered high-caste families in India. As children, they never felt different from each other because of their religions or how they were raised. In fact, Ramanatha Sastry was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Sastry, who was the most important priest, high priest of the famous Ramaswaram temple. Later, Ramanatha Sastry also became the chief priest of the Ramaswaram temple, following in his father's footsteps. Aravindan went into the business of arranging travel for people who visit holy places, pilgrims. Siva Prakasan became a food supplier, catering contractor, for the trains on the southern railways. During a special yearly celebration called the Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony, which is like a wedding ceremony for the Hindu gods Lord Rama and Sita, Abdul Kalam's family had a very important role. They used to arrange special boats that had a platform built on them. These boats were used to carry beautiful statues, idols of the Lord from the temple to the special place where the wedding ceremony was held. This place was in the middle of a pond called Ramatirtha, which was very close to their house. At bedtime, his mother and grandmother would gather the children in their family and tell them exciting stories. These stories were from the Ramayana, a very old and famous Hindu epic story, and also about the life of the Prophet, referring to Prophet Muhammad, important in Islam. This shows how both Hindu and Muslim traditions were respected in their home. One day, when Abdul Kalam was in the 5th standard, which is like 5th grade, at the Ramaswaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to their class. Abdul Kalam always wore a cap that showed he was a Muslim. He always used to sit in the very first row, right next to his friend Ramanatha Sastry, who wore a sacred thread. This thread showed that Ramanatha Sastry was a Brahmin. The new teacher did not like, could not stomach, meaning of could not stomach is could not tolerate or accept, the idea of a Hindu priest's son sitting so close to a Muslim boy. So according to how the new teacher thought people should be ranked in society based on their religion or caste, Abdul Kalam was told to go and sit on the back bench of the classroom. Abdul Kalam felt very sad because of this, and his friend Ramanatha Sastry also felt extremely sad. Ramanatha Sastry looked completely sad or depressed. Downcast, meaning of downcast is sad or depressed, when Abdul Kalam moved to the last row. The memory of Ramanatha Sastry crying when Abdul Kalam was moved to the back left a very strong and lasting impact on Abdul Kalam. He never forgot how sad his friend was. After school finished for the day, both Abdul Kalam and Ramanatha Sastry went home and immediately told their parents about what had happened in class. Lakshmana Sastry, who was Ramanatha's father and the high priest, immediately called the new teacher. In front of the children, he bravely told the teacher that he should not spread the harmful idea, poison, of social inequality, meaning that people are not equal, and communal intolerance, meaning not accepting or being rude to people of other religions, in the minds of innocent children. He spoke directly and clearly, bluntly, to the teacher, telling him that he should either say sorry for his actions or leave the school and the island completely. The teacher not only felt truly sorry for his bad behavior, But Lakshmana Sastri's strong belief, conviction, meaning of conviction, is a strong opinion or belief, and firm stand ultimately changed the young teacher for the better. This shows how one person's strong beliefs can make a difference. Abdul Kalam explains that, generally, the small society of Ramaswaram was very strict about keeping different social groups separate, segregation. However, his science teacher, named Sivasubramania Iyer, was different from most people there. Even though he was a very traditional Brahmin, with a very traditional wife, he was a bit of a rebel. He tried his best to break down social barriers, which are like invisible walls that stop people from different backgrounds from mixing easily, mingle. He used to spend many hours talking and working with Abdul Kalam. He would often say to Abdul Kalam, "Kalam, I want you to grow so much and become so successful that you are equal to, on par with, the highly educated and smart people living in the big cities." This shows his teacher's desire for Abdul Kalam's success. One day, Sivasubramania Iyer invited Abdul Kalam to his home for a meal. His wife was very shocked and scared, horrified by the idea of a Muslim boy being invited to eat in her kitchen. Her kitchen was a place she kept very clean and holy for religious reasons. Ritually pure, meaning of ritually pure, is kept protected from all outside influences for religious observances. She refused to serve him food in her kitchen. Sivasubramania Iyer was not worried or angry, perturbed with his wife's reaction. Instead, he himself served Abdul Kalam with his own hands and then sat down next to him to eat his own meal. His wife watched them eating from behind the kitchen door. Abdul Kalam wondered if she noticed any difference in how he ate his rice, or drank water, or even how he cleaned the floor after his meal. When he was leaving, Sivasubramania Iyer invited him to come for dinner again the next weekend. Seeing that Abdul Kalam was hesitating, the teacher told him not to be upset. He explained, "Once you decide to change the system, you have to face such problems, confronted. Meaning of confronted is faced or dealt with directly." This meant that making big changes is often hard. When Abdul Kalam visited his house the very next week, something amazing happened. Sivasubramania Iyer's wife herself took him inside her kitchen and served him food with her own hands. This shows that her attitude had changed. Then, the Second World War finally ended, and India's freedom from British rule was very, very near, imminent. Mahatma Gandhi, a great leader, declared, "Indians will build their own India." The whole country was filled with a new, very strong feeling of hope and excitement. Unprecedented optimism. Key meaning of unprecedented optimism is a strong feeling of hope never seen before. At this time, Abdul Kalam asked his father for permission to leave Rameswaram and go to study in Ramanathapuram, which was the main town, district headquarters of their area. His father replied, speaking as if he was thinking out loud, "Abul, I know you must leave to grow and become more successful. Just like a seagull flies alone across the sky, without needing its nest, you too must go out on your own." He then shared a very deep and meaningful quote from a famous writer named Khalil Gibran. He said this quote to Abdul Kalam's mother, who was feeling unsure or hesitant about her son leaving. The quote was, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts." This quote means that parents should allow their children to follow their own path and dreams, even if it means letting them go. Lesson learned from the story. This chapter teaches us many important things. It shows how people from different religions can live together peacefully, but how important it is to break down social barriers that divide people. It teaches us that people's attitudes can change through good examples and strong beliefs. It also highlights how important mentors, like his science teacher, and family are in helping a child grow and succeed.